The black stallion had been terrorizing Lonar Ranch for 6 weeks. But when 10-year-old Luke Chapman arrived at the ranch that Tuesday afternoon, he claimed he could calm the beast that had sent 3 professional wranglers to the hospital. Ranch owner Harrison Mitchell watched from his porch as the small boy approached the fence. The wild Mustang stood alone in the far pasture, his midnight coat gleaming in the desert sun, muscles rippling as he paced like a caged panther. No human had gotten within 50 feet of the stallion without being charged. If you're already captivated by this story, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring you more incredible horse stories like this one. Now let's discover what happens when a boy's mysterious past collides with a horse's untamed spirit. Luke had arrived that morning with his elderly guardian, Mrs. Lacey, who had answered Harrison's advertisement for a housekeeper. The boy was quiet, polite, and seemed to possess an unusual understanding of animals. "Son," Harrison called out, "you need to stay away from that fence. That stallion is dangerous." Luke turned, his dark eyes serious beyond his years. "He's not dangerous, Mr. Mitchell. He's protecting something." The words sent a chill down Harrison's spine. There was something familiar about Luke's face, something that nagged at the edges of his memory. "How would you know that?" Harrison asked. "Because that's what I would do if someone took me away from everything I loved." Mrs. Lacey had mentioned that Luke was an orphan, but she'd been vague about the details. "That horse appeared on my land 3 weeks ago. He's been attacking my livestock. I've called animal control." "You called animal control?" Luke's voice carried alarm. "I have to protect my ranch hands." "What will they do to him?" Harrison hesitated. "If they can't relocate him, they'll have to put him down." Pain flashed across Luke's face. Without another word, he walked closer to the fence. The stallion's head lifted, ears pricked forward with interest rather than aggression. As Luke approached, the magnificent horse moved toward the fence, stopping just out of arm's reach. "Hello, beautiful. I know you're scared. I know what it's like to lose everything." Harrison watched in amazement as the stallion took another step closer. His previous aggressive posture completely disappeared. "Mrs. Lacey," Harrison called, "how long has Luke been with you?" "Only 6 months. Poor child has been through so much." "What happened to his family?" "A car accident last year. Both parents died instantly. Luke spent months in the hospital." "And before that, where did he live?" "Northern Nevada. His father worked with wild horses." The words hit Harrison like lightning. Northern Nevada. Wild horses. A memory surfaced from 15 years ago. A young man named David Chapman, who had worked at the ranch, specializing in Mustang gentling. "Was Luke's father named David?" Harrison asked carefully.
She nodded. "David Chapman. Did you know him?" Harrison's legs nearly gave out. "Yes, I knew David." That evening, Harrison wrestled with memories he'd tried to bury. David had worked at the ranch during one of the most difficult periods of his life. Harrison's daughter, Claire, had been 16 then, rebellious and angry after her mother's death. Claire had been captivated by David's gentle way with horses, but Harrison had also seen something developing between them that terrified him as a protective father. When he discovered Claire sneaking out to meet David, he'd exploded with rage, accused David of taking advantage of his daughter, and fired him on the spot. Claire had been devastated. 3 days later, she'd run away, leaving only a note saying she would find David and that Harrison would never see her again. Despite hiring investigators and spending thousands searching, Harrison had never found his daughter. Now he wondered if Luke might hold the key. The next morning, Harrison found Luke at the fence with the black stallion standing calmly nearby. "Luke, can I ask you something? Did your father ever tell you about working at a ranch in Arizona?" Luke's eyes widened. You knew my father? He worked here 15 years ago. He used to tell me stories about this place, about the Mustangs and about—" He stopped suddenly. "About a girl he met here, someone named Claire." Harrison's heart hammered. What did he tell you about Claire? That she was the most beautiful girl he ever seen, that she understood horses the way he did, that he loved her but had to leave because her father was angry. Did he ever see her again? Luke nodded slowly. She found him in Nevada. They got married when she turned 18. He paused. Claire was my mother. Harrison sat down hard in the dirt. This wasn't just David's son. This was his grandson. Luke, he whispered. Claire was my daughter. You're my grandson. The boy's eyes went wide. But Mom never talked about her family. The pain in those words cut deep. Harrison looked at Luke with new understanding. I made a terrible mistake 15 years ago. I drove your parents away because I was too proud and too frightened. A sudden whinny from the stallion broke the tension. The horse was pacing, his dark eyes fixed on the distant hills. He's trying to tell us something, Luke said. 20 minutes later, Harrison and Luke followed the black stallion across the desert on an ATV. The horse moved with purposeful strides toward the rocky hills that marked the northern boundary of the ranch. Grandpa, why did Mom leave? I thought your father wasn't good enough for her. I was wrong, but I couldn't see that then. My fear made me angry. Dad used to say that fear makes people do stupid things.
Your father was a wise man. After nearly an hour, the stallion stopped at the entrance to Devil's Canyon. Luke climbed off and approached the horse, touching his neck for the first time. He's not just showing us the way, Luke said quietly. He's taking us home. This is where Mom and Dad brought me. There's a hidden valley here where wild horses come to foal. They walked deeper into the canyon until they emerged into a hidden valley, 2 acres of lush grass fed by a natural spring. Ancient cottonwood trees provided shade, but it wasn't the natural beauty that made Harrison weak. It was the sight of a small cabin with a corral nearby. Mom and Dad built that, Luke said softly. Harrison approached with trembling steps. On the porch, a wooden sign read, "The Chapman Family Sanctuary, a place where wild hearts run free." There's something else, Luke said, leading Harrison behind the cabin. In a grove of aspens, 3 wooden crosses marked graves. 2 bore the names David Chapman and Claire Mitchell Chapman. The 3rd, smaller cross was unmarked. Harrison sank to his knees beside his daughter's grave, 15 years of grief crashing over him. They died in Nevada, but Dad always said they wanted to be buried here, Luke explained. Mrs. Lacey helped me bring them back. The 3rd grave? Dad said this place was meant for 3 generations. He hoped that someday, if you ever forgave him, you might want to rest here too. As they sat in silence, several wild horses emerged from the valley, mares with foals and younger stallions who approached the black horse with respect. He's their lead stallion. When the Bureau of Land Management started another roundup, he led them here to safety. The spring is running low, and they need access to the stream on your ranch. Harrison understood now. The stallion hadn't been attacking, he'd been testing whether it was safe to bring his herd for water. What should we do?
Luke walked to the stallion, and they seemed to communicate without words. He wants to know if his family will be safe on your ranch. Harrison thought about his daughter, who had loved these creatures with passion. Tell him yes. Tell him the ranch will always be a sanctuary for his herd, and that you'll be here to help care for them. Luke's face lit up with joy. The stallion's response was immediate, a loud call answered by the entire herd. "Grandpa," Luke said as they walked back, "Mrs. Lacey has been looking for a permanent home for me." Harrison's heart leaped. "Would you like to stay here at the ranch?" "Could I?" "Luke, this ranch has been in our family for 4 generations. Someday it'll be yours, but more than that, I need you here." Over the following months, Lonar Ranch transformed. The wild horses thrived, and Luke proved to be a natural horseman. The black stallion, whom Luke named Shadow, became the boy's constant companion. Together, they developed a program for gentling wild mustangs that attracted attention from trainers across the country. A year later, the ranch had become renowned as a premier wild horse sanctuary. Luke had been featured in magazines and documentaries for his remarkable ability with wild mustangs. On the anniversary of his parents' death, Luke stood beside their graves and read a letter telling them about his life at the ranch and the grandfather who loved him unconditionally. "I want them to know I'm happy, that I'm exactly where I belong." As the sun set over Lonar Ranch, Harrison reflected on the truth of Clara's words, that love always finds a way. The ranch that had once been a place of loss had become a sanctuary for both wild horses and wounded hearts. Luke had brought healing not just to Shadow's herd, but to his grandfather's spirit, proving that sometimes the greatest gifts come from the most unexpected places. We hope this story has touched your heart. If you believe in second chances and the magic of wild horses, please share this video and subscribe for more incredible stories. What's your favorite moment from Luke and Shadow's journey? Let us know in the comments below.